Hey everybody, welcome back to the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. My name is Scott. If you're new to this channel and you're looking for reviews of different whiskeys, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also make sure to hit the bell notification. That's going to alert you to when I'm doing new uploads, live streams, things along those lines. So today I'm doing another head-to-head or kind of a comparison of two similar bourbons to give people the idea or something that they may prefer in a particular bourbon for whatever reason that may be. So I thought it was a good idea to kind of do a pairing of two wheated bourbons. First, we're going to have the Weller Special Reserve 90 proof up against the Larceny 92 proof, again, both wheated bourbons. So what I'll try to do is just kind of go through what I normally do with a review is, and we'll kind of nose it, taste it, finish or figure out what the finish part of it is. And then at the end, I'll give you my impressions of each one of them and maybe which one I prefer and why. So why don't we first start with the Weller? So we'll go from left to right. We'll start with the Weller Special Reserve. So again, what this is a 90 proof or 45% ABV wheated bourbon. Mash bill on this is what it's thought to be for this wheated mash bill of 70% corn, 16% wheat, and 14% malted barley. This comes out of a barrel that's char number 4, so the heaviest char that's there. Non-age stated. However, the thought on this is anywhere from maybe 5 to 7, maybe upwards of 8 years old. So a pretty decent amount of age to that. MSRP on this, now this is always the interesting part with any of the Weller line. The MSRP on this is anywhere, and again, this is a 175, but I'm going to give the pricing for a 750, is anywhere from about $17 to $27 if it's something that you can find local to your market. The allocation can be a little bit kind of spread all over the place, so the general availability is that it's not everywhere, but the Weller Special Reserve is a lot of places. So and then second, we've got, which will be, and again, I'll go back to that in a second, we've got the Larceny. Again, this is more of a product that is widely distributed, so for the most part, everybody should be able to generally speaking, get their hands on that. So again, this is the Larceny wheated bourbon. Mash bill on this is 68% corn, 20% wheat, and 12% malted barley. So fairly close regarding both mash bills. This is 92 proof versus the 90 proof or 46% ABV. Again, non-age stated. Wasn't sure. I was trying to figure out with this one as to the potential age on this. But there wasn't a lot out there, so I didn't really want to, say something that wasn't true. MSRP on this is anywhere from about $18 to $23 for a 750 milliliter. So why don't we get into these? And again, I'll go through each one individually, and then we'll do kind of a comparison, and I'll give you my thoughts on which one I prefer and why. So, all right, let's go ahead and we'll get into the first one. So this is first, again, the Weller Special Reserve 90 proof. So as you can see, color-wise, for the most part, a nice light, kind of light copper type of color to that. So, all right, let's get into the nose here. All right, so right away with this, you get that nice kind of light caramel type of note to it. Nice vanilla note that's there. Not much heat really at all. So there's not a lot of ethanol that's kind of, right in your face. Again, at only 90 proof, you wouldn't expect that to really be the case. There's a soft floral note to it. Even maybe a bit of a citrus note. Very, very faint kind of citrus note. So something along the lines of like an orange peel, something along those lines, but the sweeter part, not the rind where it's bitter or anything like that. A little bit of light oak to it. Even maybe a touch of some of the like a dry, dark fruit something. It's not super intense. There's a little bit of something there that's kind of underlying, but really, really nice nose on this. It's straightforward, nice and soft, not a lot of heat to it. So, all right, let's give this a try. Cheers. So the one thing I would say with the Weller Special Reserve is that it's got a nice creamy mouthfeel to it. It's just something that's important when you're tasting whiskey is the mouthfeel. It's kind of setting everything else up. You know, and with that feel, you know, starts to kind of, again, set things up in terms of, you know, where you're going to go with the flavor profile of things. Again, that light floral note that's there, very little heat. I mean, there's a kind of a touch of heat. That's probably more of the spice that's coming out than it really is heat. Nice spicy note to it. A little bit of cinnamon that's there. But it's got that soft, weeded mouthfeel to it. Nice and sweet. You know, the vanillas, the caramels, things along those lines. It's a nice bourbon profile just on the weeded side. And again, there is a little bit of spice to it, even though it is a weeded bourbon. There's still a little bit of spice there to it. So really, really nice, easy sipping weeded bourbon. I mean, something that it's one of those bourbons that I push people in a direction, if you're able to find it, for people just getting into bourbons, just because of the kind of how you know, the profile of it. It really allows for somebody to not be overwhelmed with what it is that they're tasting. It gives you just a lot of really solid flavors for that. So finish wise, I'd say on this, it's probably medium at best. You know, again, it's leaving you with those vanillas, you know, the caramels, a lot of those standard bourbon notes. Its finish is sweet, a little bit of oak that's there as well. Slight bit of dryness to it, not overly dry by any means, so it's not over oaked or anything like that. So just a really nice, simple, kind of sweet, you know, forward bourbon. I mean, it's just a really, really nice weeded bourbon. So, all right, let's move on to the second one. So this is going to be the Larceny bourbon. Again, this is one that's more readily available. Again, 68% corn, 20% wheat, 12% malted barley, 92 proof, 46% ABV, non-age stated. Again, price range $18 to $23, and that's pretty standard for the most part. So, all right, let's get into this. So, as you can see with this is getting to be a little bit more on the copper side of things. This is a little darker than the Weller Special Reserve. So, this is coming out of a Char No. 3 barrel, so maybe there's a little bit more age to this, just based on the color or where it's being stored in the rick house. Has a lot to do sometimes with the color of the bourbon as well. So, all right, let's get into the nose on this. So right away, more oak forward on this one. Like that nutty note. And this is leaning a little bit more towards the lines of more like peanut butter, actually. And again, with it being from Heaven Hill Distillery, that's one note that I pick up most of the time, is this nuttiness that comes from that brand. This, I'd say, is just a little heavier on the peanut butter side of things. Even maybe a little bit of a light black pepper. Some cherry notes that's there. Again, some of that vanilla, that kind of comes through this. Here's the softness part of it coming out with it being, again, a wheated bourbon. Not as floral as the Weller. Definitely not as sweet on the nose as the Weller. All right, let's give this a try. Cheers. So with the Larceny, again, here's where the mouthfeel kind of comes into play. Again, it's nice and creamy, so it's setting things up for what it is you're about ready to taste. Coats the mouth really well. That nuttiness, that peanut butter really starting to come out with this. Definitely some more oak on the palate, more so than I was getting with the Weller. Still nice vanilla note to it. Actually a touch more spice to it. So not heat, but there is a little bit of spice that's there to it. Even though it's wheated, you still get a nice kind of spicy kind of kick to it there. Still that soft, approachable, floral type of note to it. Really nice, creamy mouthfeel. Again, more oak presence, more of that nuttiness that I wasn't getting at all with the Weller, which is typical, again, of Heaven Hill. But an absolutely fantastic wheated bourbon. Leaves a little bit more of a tingle or a presence on the mid to the back of the palate. So I'm getting more out of the Larceny, I would say, as the finish begins to develop, more with the Larceny than I was the Weller, which is a Buffalo Trace product. So I'd say there's a little bit more behind the Larceny than there was so far with the Weller. Now, finish-wise, again, I think it's more oak dominant, still soft from that wheat, but you're left again with way more of that nuttiness, that peanut butter that's there. The finish is longer. It's all of medium, I would say, for the most part, but a really, really nice, straightforward wheated bourbon. And again, this is one of those deals where knowing what the profiles are of each and which one matches what you prefer, you know, something that's a little maybe sweeter, less oaky, a little more vanilla. You know, this you're getting a little bit more of the oak, a little bit more of that nuttiness, that peanut butter. Finish is a little bit longer on this. So for me, if I'm choosing between the two as just a daily sipping, lower, entry proof, bourbon, I'd probably lean towards the Larceny just because I think there's a little bit more there kind of behind it. More flavor, finish is a little bit longer. I like the flavors a little bit more. They kind of stick around a little longer through the finish part of it. So for me, if I'm choosing, I would go with the Larceny. I just think there's a little bit more kind of behind it. Now, with that being said, the Weller part of it, I think, would be really, really fantastic for anybody just starting or getting into, into whiskey or bourbon. I think it will allow for, it to kind of transition into something that's just more approachable for a lot of people. There's not a whole lot behind it, and I think it would just allow for, that more kind of full experience from it not being overwhelming. So hopefully that makes a little bit sense. So again, for me, if I'm choosing between the two, and head to head, without it being blind, I would choose the Larceny 92 proof. I just, again, think there's a little bit more behind, what it has to offer. So with that being said, I hope that this kind of helps to maybe set up, what it is that you'd like, or why. And again, leave in the comments below, if you've had both of these, which one you prefer and why. I'm always interested to know, what it is that people are enjoying, why they prefer it or why they enjoy it. So, go ahead and leave some comments. So, also make sure to like, subscribe, all of that. If you want to follow me on other social media platforms, you can through Instagram, My Bourbon Journey. Same thing through Twitter, My Bourbon Journey. Also a Facebook page, My Bourbon Journey there as well. So again, just a little bit of a recap: the Weller Special Reserve and the Larceny wheated bourbon. So these two kind of went a little head to head. And again, I chose the Larceny 92 proof as my winner of the head to head. So hopefully everybody enjoyed it. I appreciate you watching the video. And like I always say, it's about the journey and not the destination. We'll see you next time. Cheers.